आता बघा ना, चेक करा ना लाईव्ह.
काय माझा मोबाईल तिकडे अडकून बसलाय
सर लाईव्ह आहे आता.
चेक करा ना.
नाही चेक नाही. हे दिसतंय आता.
What I was suggesting, they keep that poster, no? Yeah, very good.
ते दिसत नाही, ते गोष्ट दिसणार नाही कारण आता सुरू आवाज येते का चेक केला असता जरा.
ते कसं करायचं?
तुम्ही बोलताना करा ना, हॅलो हॅलो म्हणून. ते तिथून करा लागेल. माईक ऑफ करून माईक आहे ना कुठल्या तरी काय प्रॉब्लेम आहे इथे ना.
आवाज नाहीये.
आवाजाचं नाही प्रॉब्लेम काय झाला माहिती आहे का? इथला आवाज कुठे म्यूट करायचा? इथला लॅपटॉपचा आवाज कुठे म्यूट करायचा?
कमी जास्त ना?
नाही कमीच करायचा. लॅपटॉपचा इनपुट नाही घ्यायचा.
नाही इथून पण करता येईल. दुसरं प्लस मायनस इथून राहतं ना. इथून करता येते.
ते कमी करायचं पूर्ण.
हॅलो वनसोडे सर, आवाज येतो? ऐकतेस? व्हॉल्यूमचं बटन इकडे आहे. माईक चालू आहे ना? मॅक्सिमम नाही.
आता आवाज येतोय?
आहे ना, चालू आहे, दोन्ही चालू आहे. चालू आहे maximum.
हॅलो, हा खूप मोठा आवाज आहे. थोडा कमी करायला पाहिजे.
Hello, good morning everyone. Great, I'm so happy that all of you have come. Okay, we'll begin in just another 5 minutes. Okay, thank you.
ठीक आहे, मी आहे याच्यावरती. याच्यावरती व्हिडिओ वगैरे सगळं चालू आहे. नो प्रॉब्लेम. नंतर मी ह्या शेअरची परमिशन मागेन. पूर्ण जर मला मिळाली permission. करू का मी आत्ताच? लेट आहे. माईक बंद करू? काय बंद करा?
बघा. आवाज येतो तुम्हाला? नाही तिथून. Good morning to all of you. I welcome you all for today's guest lecture on how to see a film. Chitrapat Kasa Pahawa. I welcome the principal, Vice Principal Sir, Dr. A.V. Shelke, Head of the Department of English, Dr. Deepa Khatri, and today's guest speaker, Mr. Nikhil Narkar. Madhav Pawar and Ms. Amrita Varekbe. I request Dr. Deepa Khatri Madam to welcome our Vice Principal, Dr. A.V. Sheikh. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. A.V. Sheikh to welcome Mr. Nikhil Narkar by offering him a shawl, a coconut fruit, and a bouquet. Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Deepa Katre, madam, to welcome the librarian of our college, Dr. Ajay Kamble. Miss Amrita Varimbe, madam, please come here. Professor Vijayananda Bansode, Dr. Vijayananda Bansode, Professor Nitin Kumar Bangar, Dr. Sangharam Nagore, Professor Shailesh Koti, our assistant librarian Rupal Shinde. Thank you, ma'am. I request the principal, sir, Vice Principal, sir, Dr. A.V. Sherke, to say a few words on this occasion.
Good morning to all. आजचा जो हा प्रोग्राम इंग्लिश विभागातर्फे गेस्ट लेक्चरचा आयोजित केला आहे. सर्वप्रथम मी या प्रोग्रामसाठी शुभेच्छा देतो. कारण मला वाटतं एक 2 दिवसापूर्वीच मॅडमने आमच्याशी कॉन्टॅक्ट केलेला आणि आमच्या डिपार्टमेंटला एक प्रोग्राम हवाच, कशा परिस्थितीत हवाच असा त्यांनी आग्रह केला आणि आम्ही हा प्रोग्राम आज त्यासाठी करू शकलोय. तर मी इंग्लिश डिपार्टमेंटचं स्वागत करतो. प्रकारे उपक्रम राबवलेला आहे. आजच्या या गेस्ट लेक्चरचं मुख्य प्रमुख वक्ते जे आहेत देखील नागकर, तुम्हाला चित्रपट कसा बघावा लेक्चरला जाण्यामागून निश्चितच चित्रपट कसा बघावा. आतापर्यंत तुम्ही लोक जो चित्रपट बघितला असेल, आता ऑफलाईन सुरू झालेला आहे. 50% रेस्ट्रिक्शन जे होतं ते पण गेलंय आता मला वाटतं, आणि 100% थिएटरमध्ये जाऊन तुम्ही सिनेमा बघू शकता. आतापर्यंत तुम्ही चित्रपट बघितला असेल आणि चित्रपट बघताना तो समजून उमजून आनंद घेऊन कसा बघायचा याविषयी आपल्याला मार्गदर्शन करण्यासाठी फिल्ममेकर श्री निखिल नागकर आलेले आहेत. तर सर्वजण त्यांचं जे व्याख्यान ऐकण्यासाठी उत्सुक असणार आणि जसं चित्रपटाच्या अगोदर जाहिराती लागतात तसं मी करत नाही. मी थोडक्यात माझा आवडतो आणि परत एकदा आपल्या पाहुण्यांचं मी स्वागत करतो कॉलेजमध्ये, आमच्या प्राचार्यांतर्फे, आमच्या मॅनेजमेंटतर्फे, आणि आपल्या ह्या कार्यक्रमासाठी शुभेच्छा देतो आणि माझे 2 शब्द संपवतो.
Now I request the convener of this guest lecture, Dr. Deepa Katre, to say a few words at this time, on this occasion. Thank you.
Do I need the mic? So, as you all know, there are students from BSc and SCOM as well. It's about anyway, the topic today, of course, is very exciting. Film is something, when you say a film, your face is lighting up, right? Such a fascinating medium, right? The most powerful medium, even if I call it influencer, these days the new word that comes, right? Now, what I feel, the reason for this is that human emotions are best expressed through this medium. And the human emotions are something that in fact rule the world, even though they are not actually given that much of importance. Everything runs, whether you're talking of love or war or whatever, it's because of the emotions involved in all of this, and the films portray it very well. The film world has started, you know very well, from short films by the Lumiere brothers, way back in 1895, to now, the very soft sometimes need the actors. So from there to here, it's been a very long and fascinating journey. It has always captivated us. So So from the silent movies, black and white movies, the talkies, the multicolor, then from the story to technology, everything is so very interesting, so enthralling, right? And films has one more thing, it gives us the freedom to respond, talk about it. As soon as you see a film, the first thing that we do, we take up the garb of the literary critic and start commenting on the films. But I think the best way for us to do it from now on would be after this lecture, when Sir will tell you how to do it maybe professionally. Right? We'll be able to enjoy all kinds of films, differentiate between different genres of films also. So I'm sure he's the best person, and I request now Sri Ram Dogri, my colleague, to introduce him to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for setting the tone of this guest lecture. Now I would like to introduce today's guest speaker, Mr. Nikhil Narkar. Mr. Nikhil Narkar is presently working as a visiting faculty at Symbiosis School for Liberal Arts, a sister institute of Symbiosis International University, Pune. He is also a guest faculty at many other institutes of Symbiosis, Pune. Before joining Symbiosis, Mr. Nikhil taught as an adjunct faculty at School of Culture and Creative Expressions, Ambedkar University, Delhi, and at Triumphant Institute of Management Education, Hyderabad. He has also worked as a technical writer at Yasu Technologies, Hyderabad. I'm purposely reading out all these resumes so that you understand the opportunities that the language student can have in different fields. Mr. Nikhil Narkar did his BA from Ferguson College, Pune, and MA in English from the Department of English, University of Pune. He has done his MPhil on the topic Contemporary Hollywood Cinema, Spectacle, Narrative and Genre from the Central Institute of English and Foreign Languages, Hyderabad. Currently, he is doing his PhD on the topic Genres of Violence in Contemporary Hindi Cinema from Jawaharlal Nehru University, Delhi. He has also passed an advanced diploma in Spanish language with distinction from the Central Institute of English and Foreign Languages, Hyderabad. He is actually an inspiration for all the language students because he is fluent in Marathi, Hindi, English and Spanish. I must mention here that he is the product of a Marathi medium school. So, we should get inspiration from that. Mr. Nikhil's areas of interest are Hindi cinema, film theory and history, representation and masculinity, Marxist literary and cultural theory, theories of violence, post-colonial theory, cultural studies, Marathi cinema and theatre. Mr. Nikhil has produced a documentary called The Cutting Edge and two Marathi short films called Devi and Nana Parit Pangri. The short film Nana Parit Pangri has won the second best short film award at the Bengaluru International Short Film Festival. It got selected in Pune International Short Film Festival, International Film Festival of South Asia, Toronto, South Asian International Film Festival, New York, and United Nations Human Rights Film Festival at Barcelona, Madrid, New York, and Paris. Nikhil has also been associated with motorcycle films and worked on a documentary film called Voices from the Margins, produced for Sahitya Academy, New Delhi. He is equally interested in drama and acting too. He has conducted a workshop on theatre and performed a play, A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare, at Symbiosis School of Liberal Arts, Pune. He has acted in a play, Hayavadana, organized by CIEFL Theatre Group, Hyderabad. He has been associated with Pratyay Theatre Group in Kolhapur and has acted in a play called Football and many street plays staged by Pratyay. Nikhil has participated in various national level conferences and presented many research papers. He has been a student activist and is also involved in social work. Nikhil, we are very happy that a passionate filmmaker, an excellent research scholar, and a critic like you have agreed to come to our college and communicate with our students. I welcome you once again and request you to start with your presentation.
Thank you so much. First of all, I need to express my gratitude to Anna Sahib Welfare College for inviting me. English is okay. Marathi also I can speak in. Hindi I will try. मराठी इंग्लिश दोन्हीमध्ये बोलायचा प्रयत्न करेन. हिंदी ते जर कळलंच नाही तर विचारांनी हिंदीमध्ये सांगायचा प्रयत्न करेन. पहिल्यांदा मी प्राध्यापक देवी शेट्टी सरांचे आभार मानतो. व्हाईस प्रिन्सिपल तुम्ही इतक्या शॉर्ट नोटीसवरती मान्य केले डिपार्टमेंटची मागणी आणि हे सगळे अवेलेबल करून दिलं त्याबद्दल खरोखरच धन्यवाद. प्राध्यापक आणि हेड ऑफ द डिपार्टमेंट पत्रे मॅडम, थँक यू सो मच फॉर हॅविंग इन्व्हाइटेड मी to speak on something that is very close to my heart, called film, cinema. जसं सिनेमा करायला लोकांना आवडतो तसं काही लोकांना सिनेमा बघायलाही आवडतो. त्यातला मी एक आहे. मला सिनेमा बघायला खूप आवडतो. वेगवेगळ्या फिल्म फेस्टिवल्स मध्ये मी जात असतो. फक्त एकच कारण असं असतं की सिनेमा बघायचा आहे, जगभरातला सिनेमा बघायचा आहे आणि आनंद घ्यायचा आहे. हे त्यातलं पहिलं कारण ते असतं. तर आज मी जे काही तुमच्याबरोबर बोलणार आहे, तुमच्या समोर मांडणार आहे, ते माझ्या अनुभवातून आलेले आहे, ते माझ्या टीचिंग एक्सपिरियन्स मधून आलेले आहे आणि काही पुस्तकं वाचल्यामुळे आलेले आहे, काही फिल्म मेकर्सशी गप्पा मारल्यामुळे आलेले आहे, काही स्वतः विचार केल्यामुळे आलेले. तर माझे जे काही विचार आहेत सिनेमाबद्दल ते मी प्रामाणिकपणे मांडण्याचा प्रयत्न करेन. ते काही अगदी फॉर्मल वगैरे असं बोलायचा माझा विचार नाहीये. तुम्हाला आपल्या मध्ये कधी थांबू शकता, प्रश्न विचारू शकता, काही कळलं नाही तर सांगा, हात वर करा, आपण चर्चा करू, त्याबद्दल काही प्रॉब्लेम नाही. मुख्य म्हणजे मला प्राध्यापक डोंगरे सरांचे खरं म्हणजे आभार मानायचे. आम्ही गेले वर्षभर बोलतोय एकमेकांशी, सिनेमाबद्दल बोलतोय, वेगवेगळ्या गोष्टींबद्दल बोलतोय आणि त्यांचं असं म्हणणं होतं की मी एकदा येऊन माझे जे काही विचार आहेत आम्ही सारखं शेअर करत असतो. तर तो मलाच फक्त बोलतो नकोस, तो आमच्या कॉलेजमध्ये आणि बाकीच्यांनी बोलतोच, बघ काय म्हणतात लोक, त्यांचे विचार घे आणि जर काही सिनेमाबद्दल लिहिता आलं, बोलता आलं पुढं तर ते कर. त्यामुळं एक हाऊसफुल प्रतिसाद दिल्याबद्दल सुरुवातीला तरी मला तुमचेही आभार मानायचे. थँक्यू एव्हरीवन फॉर taking your time out and coming here to listen to a lecture that is titled "How to Watch Films" or "How to See Films." I'm slightly, thinking about this title a little bit. I've been thinking about it for the last 2 days. It would have been more apt to probably give a title "How do I watch films" rather than "How to see films." Because I believe that there are various ways in which films can be watched. I have chosen one. That does not necessarily mean that you have to choose the same. Rather, you may have different ways of watching films, and we can probably share those ways with each other. And if there is something that you can learn from me, I'm sure there is something that I can learn from you as well. Okay, in terms of watching films. So, तुम्ही ज्या पद्धतीने बघता त्याच्याबद्दल मलाही सांगा, मी ज्या पद्धतीने बघतो त्याच्याबद्दल मी तुम्हाला सांगायचा प्रयत्न करेन. हा जो विषय आहे तो मला माझ्या खूप जिव्हाळ्याचा विषय, it's very close to me because I've been thinking about this topic for the last 10 years. आणि याच्या मागचं कारण असं आहे की मला सिनेमा हे माध्यम हे आपल्या पिढीचं, आपल्या जगाचं सांगितलं, it's the best medium probably in which the modern world can express itself. जेव्हा सिनेमा आपण बघतो तेव्हा एव्हरीवन इज इन अ पोझिशन टू बी अ क्रिटिक आणि ते काही चुकीचं नाही. प्रत्येक जण आपण क्रिटिक आहोत आणि वी नीड टू बी प्राऊड ऑफ दॅट. वी नीड टू बी प्राऊड ऑफ दॅट. Saying I know how to watch film, nobody needs to tell me how to watch film, and that's absolutely right. आणि मला हा जो विचार आहे तो तळागाळापर्यंत द्यायचा आहे. म्हणजे हे काही फक्त पुण्यातली लोक बघतात किंवा मुंबईतली लोक बघतात आणि त्यांनाच कळतं असं नाही. म्हणजे आपण ज्या समाजात जन्माला आलो, ज्या युगात जन्माला आलो, त्यामध्ये विजन जे आहे, बघण्याची दृष्टी जी आहे, ती सगळी आपण जन्माला घेऊन आलो. आणि सिनेमा बघण्याची कुवत, ॲबिलिटी ही सगळ्यांमध्ये आहे. सिनेमा कळण्याची ॲबिलिटी ही सगळ्यांमध्ये. आणि हे मला तळागाळापर्यंत हा विचार घेऊन जायचा आहे. आय वॉन्ट टू सी इफ इंडिया as a nation, India as a society, and not only many other societies too, can express themselves well by integrating their lives in the cinematic medium. एवढा साधा विचार त्याच्या मागे आणि त्याच्यामुळे मी तुमच्यावर आज उभा आहे. Let me go back. Okay, let me now officially begin how I started watching films. When I watched films for the first few years, I was interested in films primarily because films told me stories. I was really interested in stories. Everyone is interested in stories. आपण गोष्टी ऐकत असतो, आजी सांगत असते, आजोबा सांगत असतात, किंवा आई सांगत असते, बाबा सांगत असतात, असतो जे काय असेल ते भाऊ बहीण सांगत असतात, आपण एकमेकांना गोष्टी सांगत असतो. आणि त्याच्यामुळे सिनेमा बघण्याची आपली जी दृष्टी आहे त्यात आपण सिनेमा हे प्रायमरी गोष्टी सांगण्याचं मीडियम यानुसार आपण सिनेमाकडे बघत असतो. But when I started watching a lot of different kinds of films, film festivals while studying, I realized that story is just one component of cinema. It's not everything. Cinema may not be reduced to a story. आपल्याला सिनेमा आवडतो कारण आपण म्हणतो स्टोरी सांगतो, पण त्या स्टोरी बरोबरच सिनेमामध्ये अनेक काही त्याची वैशिष्ट्ये आहेत, त्याची कॅरेक्टरिस्टिक फीचर्स आहेत जी आपल्याला समजून घेणं मला वाटतं आवश्यक आहे. आणि आज स्टोरी सोडून अशी बाकीची काय सिनेमाची अंग आहेत ज्याचा विचार केल्यानंतर आपल्याला सिनेमा चांगल्या पद्धतीने करू शकतो त्याच्याबद्दल मी जास्त बोलायला उत्सुक आहे. How did this happen? Why did this happen? When did this happen? Around 15-20 years ago, when I was watching films, I realized when I see certain kinds of frames, when I see certain kinds of shots, I feel happy. I don't know why. Probably lighting is good. Probably because of the way in which characters are standing or actors are standing in the frame is good. Probably sometimes I get very excited by the costumes. Sometimes I get excited by the dialogues. And I am sure every one of us who's present here watches cinema like that. Although we may not think about cinema consciously like that. Yeah, sometimes we pay attention to costumes, sometimes we pay attention to hairstyle, sometimes we pay attention to acting, sometimes we pay attention to setting. And all that matters when watching a film because all that contributes to understanding the story sometimes that the cinema wants to tell us. Now when I was watching cinema, it took me to the history of cinema, to the inception of cinema. I started saying, when did this medium emerge? Why did this medium emerge? And when it emerged, जेव्हा ते तयार झालं, जेव्हा ते येत होतं, तेव्हा काय प्रकारे सिनेमा सुरू झाला हे समजून घेणं मला वाटतं अत्यंत गरजेचं आहे. का गरजेचं आहे? तर एखाद्या माध्यमाचा इतिहास जर आपण समजून घेतला नाही तर मला नाही वाटत की त्याच्याबद्दल त्याचे जे काही बारकावे असतात ते आपल्याला नीट समजून घ्यायचे. And we may not be able to understand what the essential features of a medium can be or may be, right? So I would like to take you into the history of cinema for like 5 to 10 minutes. It might be boring, but I'm trying to make it interesting because I want to connect to certain new things that And that is why what we have today is called shooting. Right? That is why probably what we have today is called a shot. So when I started reading about these things, when I started researching about these things, I started noticing some of the basic elements about cinema that are useful for us to make sense of cinema. Right? काय ती बेसिक गोष्ट काय पहिल्या ज्या काही फिल्म्स होत्या 1890 साली 1892 साली 1894 96 साली जेव्हा पहिल्या फिल्म्स आल्या तेव्हा त्यांची लांबी किती होती किती ड्युरेशन किती होतं 1 सेकंद एका सेकंदापेक्षा जास्त वेळ फिल्म तुम्ही करू शकायचा त्याच्यानंतर एका सेकंदाचे 2 सेकंद झाले 3 सेकंद झाले 4 सेकंद झाले का महत्वाचं आहे why is it important to understand this it is important to understand this because it tells us that an essential quality of cinema is not necessarily storytelling essential quality of cinema is not necessarily storytelling but probably it is what is called an image ज्याला आपण मराठीत अवघड शब्द दिलाय छाया चित्र ती जी काही छायाचित्र आहे ती जी काही इमेज आहे probably that is a very important quality of cinema an essential feature of cinema that gets missed when we watch films जेव्हा आपण सिनेमा बघतो तेव्हा आपण इमेजकडे किती वेळ बघतो हे मला माहित नाही पण ते बघावं अशी माझी इच्छा आहे so one of the first things that I started noticing was that earlier films were only 1 second long 2 second long 3 seconds long because people were firstly technology was not available but people were more interested in watching the image त्यांचा मूळ आनंद कशात होता की अरे बाबा पिक्चर या फोटोग्राफ मध्ये माणसं चालतात फोटोग्राफ हलता बोलतात फोटोग्राफ स्टॅटिक नाही याच्यात त्यांचा पहिला आनंद होता right probably I'd like to show you a clip or two okay from that era which are available right but let's for the sake of curiosity okay to satisfy our curiosity let's watch it याचा मी संबंध डायरेक्टली आताच्या सिनेमाशी जोडणार म्हणून मला याच्यावरती 5 मिनिटं वेळ द्या बोर झाला तरी बघा कारण याच्यात सिनेमा कसा समजून घ्यायचा कसा बघावा प्रॉब्ली याच्यातनं आपल्याला नवी दृष्टी मिळण्याची शक्यता ओके लेट्स वॉच वन और दोन मिनिट टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लेम झाला अशा प्रकारचे प्रॉब्लेम खूप झाले होते 1890
ही एका सेकंदाची क्लिप आहे, ती आपण बघू. पण लक्ष देऊन बघा, एका सेकंदात काय घडतंय ते बघू. या क्लिपचं नाव आहे द फॉलिंग कॅट, खाली पडणारं मांजर. नीचे गिरती हुई बिल्ली असं त्याचं नाव आहे. लेट्स वॉच इट फॉर 1 सेकंड. That's it. That's it. That's the clip. आता तुम्ही म्हणाल यात माणसांना काय आनंद आहे हे बघण्यात. 100-150 वर्षापूर्वी विचार करा, जेव्हा तुम्हाला फोटोग्राफ मध्ये काहीतरी हलताना दिसतंय, it created a new sensibility. It created a new idea about what human beings can do. And it is this moment that prioritizes vision as an important understanding and facet of human personality. याच्यामध्ये काय होतं? You are paying attention to what is moving in front of your eyes. You are paying attention to technology that can show you movement that is being recorded. Right? And people were interested in just watching this. त्यांनी रांगा लावल्या होत्या थिएटरच्या बाहेर हे बघण्यासाठी की काय आहे बाबा, कसं त्या टेक्नॉलॉजी मध्ये मांजर कसं पडतंय खाली, एवढंच बघायचं. त्याच्यानंतर टेक्नॉलॉजी started developing more and more. Let's watch another clip, okay, which is slightly longer, which made in, I think, 1888 or 1890. And the next clip that I'm going to show you is after 5 years, okay, which is 1895. And the title, okay, clip is a violent title. I'm deliberately focusing on that right now because all of us know how closely associated cinema and violence are, right? Okay. So let's watch that clip called Execution of Mary Stuart. मृत्यूदंडाची शिक्षा मेरी स्टुअर्ट नावाच्या बाई. आणि मेरी स्टुअर्ट कधी जगली होती? ती कोण होती? ती इंग्लंड मधली राणी होती. आणि हे 1516व्या शतकात घडलेली ही गोष्ट आहे, पण ती 19व्या शतकात परत फिल्मसाठी तयार केली गेली. ओके, लेट्स वॉच दॅट क्लिप फॉर 2 minutes. ओके, अँड ट्राय अँड सी व्हॉट इज इंटरनल टू सिनेमा अँड सिनेमॅटिक प्लेजर. Right? We understood one pleasure right now, which is about watching something that is moving, which is vision. How many? 14-minute long, 13 second long clip we watched. Now, from 1 second we move to 14 seconds. जसं जसं आपण 19व्या शतकात 20व्या शतकात जात गेलो तसं तसं सिनेमाची लांबी पण वाढत चालली आहे आपल्याला लक्षात येतं. Okay, how many people? Okay, I was listening to your reactions more than watching it. A lot of people made a particular kind of sound. And when did you make it? When did you make it? You made it when you saw that the woman was killed. Yes? How many of us saw that the woman was killed? How many of us saw? All of us? Yeah. Okay. See the magic of cinema. All of you are very, very attuned to advertisements. And the basic logic of advertisements is editing. What is editing? Editing is cutting 2 images and putting them together. Right? But the beauty of advertisements is that you don't notice the cut. You don't notice when 2 images were joined with each other. You don't notice that. Where did it begin? It began in this clip. There is a cut. There is a cut that you did not notice, and that's what prompted a reaction called, because you thought, was a real woman killed? Was a real
woman killed. My God, does cinema do that? Right? Let us watch this clip again and notice where what is called a cut is. Okay, let's watch that. This is all silent. There is no sound. There is a woman sitting, and you notice that? Now you notice the cut. Right? Now you notice the cut, and that cut is probably done in such a way, अशा प्रकारे केले गेले राहते की the audiences are not supposed to notice it. ते तुमच्या दृष्टीच्या बाहेर कसं ठेवता येईल, ओके, जाणीवपूर्वक दृष्टीच्या बाहेर कसं ठेवता येईल याचा प्रयत्न केला गेलेला. Why is it there? What is the need for that? The need for that is twofold. Okay, दोन गरजा आहेत. एक, सिनेमा हा जरी इमेज सेंट्रिक असला तरी सिनेमात आता दुसऱ्या एका गोष्टीचा हळूहळू शिरकाव होतोय. एक दुसरी गोष्ट येते. ती दुसरी गोष्ट काय आहे? दुसरी गोष्ट नॅरेटिव्ह, ज्याला आपण स्टोरी टेलिंग म्हणतो. Cat is falling down. What is the story in that? Probably there is no story. But now gradually we see that if on one hand, okay, there is a pull towards an image. Yeah? चित्राकडे तुमचा जर एक कल असेल सिनेमाचा, तर दुसऱ्या बाजूनं there is another force that is working on cinema, which is to tell a story. Here the story is, okay, although we don't know what the exact story is, but we can know that the woman is sitting down and is being killed. How did they do that? Well, it's a very simple technique. They made the woman sit, stop the camera, remove the woman, put a mannequin किंवा ज्याला भावली म्हणतात, भावलीला ठेवून कॅमेरा सुरू केला, भावली तोडली. And what did we feel? We felt that the woman is cut into two parts, right? But what they managed with that, okay, why this film is significant 120 years ago is because it tells us the essence of cinema that is contradictory. Essence of cinema that is contradictory. What do we mean by that? सिनेमाचा जो गाभा आहे, मूळ सिनेमाचा जो इसेन्स आहे, ज्याला आपण अर्क म्हणतो, तो दोन प्रकारात विभागला गेला. एक, image and story. I don't think we will be able to understand cinema well. To understand cinema, to understand films, our first step is to point out, is to see what is the relationship between image on one hand and narrative on the other, or storytelling on the other. If you focus only on the story, your understanding of cinema is partial. If you focus only on the image, your understanding of cinema is partial too. Most of the films are a combination of image and story. Why am I telling you this? Because I know that there might be certain students here, there might be certain teachers here who want to make their own films. Not necessarily commercial cinema. You may want to document your own life, and that's absolutely fine. But while you are doing it, it is important to think about image and story at the same time. Right? If we don't think about cinema in these terms, our understanding of cinema will suffer a lot. I will make you suffer one more clip. Okay, from 1896, ज्यांचा उल्लेख मॅडमने केला. Lumiere brothers were the pioneers of cinema in the 19th century. त्यांच्यामुळे सिनेमा सगळ्या जगभर पसरला, भारतात पण त्यांच्यामुळे झाला. ओके, ल्युमियर ब्रदर्स हे फ्रेंच फिल्म मेकर्स होते. दोन भाऊ होते जे फिल्म्स करत होते. त्यांना ऑस्ट्रेलियात जायचं होतं फिल्म घेऊन, कारण तेव्हा ऑस्ट्रेलिया वॉज ब्रिटिश कॉलनी, राईट? अँड सिनेमा वॉज रिस्ट्रिक्टेड टू द एलीट पीपल इन ऑल द कॉलोनाइज्ड कंट्रीज. म्हणजे फक्त ब्रिटिशांना अधिकार होता सिनेमा बघायचा.
सुरुवाती ओके. भारतीयांना तुमच्या आमच्यासारख्या लोकांना काही अधिकार नव्हता, तो नंतर मिळवला. एनिवे, पण पहिल्यांदा ब्रिटिश बघत होते. पण काय झालं काय, युनियन ब्रदर्स वर ट्रॅव्हलिंग फ्रॉम फ्रान्स टू ऑस्ट्रेलिया अँड देन दे हॅड टू डॉक देअर शिप. त्यांना त्यांचं जहाज मुंबईला थांबायला लागलं. आणि ह्या जून महिना होता आणि जुलै महिना होता आणि जुलै महिन्यात आपल्याला माहिती आहे मॉन्सूनचा सीझन असतो आणि पाणी काय म्हणजे समुद्राचं पाणी काय शांत नसतं. त्यामुळे युनियन ब्रदर्स हॅड टू स्टॉप इन इंडिया अँड दे वर लूजिंग प्रेशियस बिझनेस. Therefore, they started showing films in India. The first show of cinema in India was in Watson Hotel. Okay, मुंबईला तुम्ही जर गेला तर तिथं वॉटसन हॉटेल चर्चगेट जवळ एक हॉटेल आहे. तिथं पहिला शो भारतातला झाला 1896 जुलै. तर त्यांनी एक फिल्म दाखवली होती. त्या फिल्मचं नाव होतं अरायव्हिंग ऑफ अ ट्रेन ॲट अ स्टेशन. फार महत्वाची फिल्म, फार महत्वाचा रेफरन्स. का महत्वाचा रेफरन्स आहे? दोन गोष्टींबद्दल. एक म्हणजे या फिल्म बद्दल एक दंतकथा आहे. काय दंतकथा आहे? काय आहे फिल्म? फिल्म अशी आहे की कॅमेरा प्लॅटफॉर्म वरती ठेवलाय, ट्रेन येते, ट्रेन कॅमेरा जवळ येते आणि त्यावेळची लोक एवढी मूर्ख होती असं म्हणतात, एक खरं नाही आहे. पण अशी सिनेमाबद्दल एक स्टोरी पसरवली गेली की लोक एवढी मूर्ख होती की त्यांना वाटलं आता ट्रेन कॅमेरा फोडून थिएटर मध्ये येणार आणि त्याच्यामुळे लोक सैरा वैरा पडायला लागले. अशी ती स्टोरी सिनेमाबद्दल होती. ती खोटी स्टोरी आहे, पण याच्यावरनं आपल्याला एक पोटेन्शियल लक्षात येतं. सिनेमा कॅन क्रिएट गॉसिप. सिनेमा कॅन क्रिएट इमेज. याच्या अनेक गॉसिप्स सिनेमाबद्दल आपल्या समाजात पसरलेले आहे. गोष्ट ती सोडून पॉइंट काय? पॉइंट हा आहे की लुमियर ब्रदर्सनं जो शो केला 1896 मध्ये, 1895 डिसेंबर फ्रान्समध्ये, 1896 मुंबईमध्ये, जुलैमध्ये. These are considered to be the first film shows ज्याच्यातनं सिनेमाची सुरुवात झाली. Okay, these are considered to be the first film shows. And even if you pay attention to this, you will realize that the emphasis is on the image. Okay, the emphasis is on the image. Let us watch this for 5 minutes and then move on to how we understand cinema in a better way. Okay, once we have a basic understanding in place, we will probably understand cinema in a better way. So, sorry, तुम्ही जर YouTube वर गेला तर Netflix अवेलेबल आहे. Okay, first and that is what the film is. It's a very ordinary looking shot. It's a very ordinary looking shot. What is important about this is, okay, if we pause the frame, what comes out is what is called a camera angle. Right? When you have a camera placed at
a diagonal angle, right? म्हणजे जेव्हा तुमच्याकडे तुम्ही ट्रेनकडे तुम्ही बघा आणि तुम्हाला असं दिसेल की ट्रेनचा समोरचा भाग जो आहे तो मोठा आहे आणि ट्रेनचा मागचा जो भाग आहे तो छोटा छोटा होत गेलेला आहे. That is a very very essential feature of cinematic aesthetic, okay, which is what is called depth of field किंवा ज्याला आपण पर्स्पेक्टिव्ह म्हणतो. ओके, ज्याला इंग्लिश मध्ये एक पर्स्पेक्टिव्ह असा शब्द आहे. ओके, ज्यानं डेप्थ येते. ओके, फ्रेम मध्ये. ह्या फिल्ममुळे फिल्म मेकर्सला समजलं की कॅमेरा कुठं ठेवायला लागतो. फॉर एक्झाम्पल, इफ आय एम शूटिंग समवन हिअर, इफ आय एम शूटिंग Katre madam sitting and talking to someone, I might place the camera here and she will look in front of her towards the screen, and that will give me a depth in the frame. So if you are thinking about how to shoot something, okay, we might place the camera in front or we might place the camera slightly diagonally. If you place the camera in front, the subject of the camera will look directly into the frame. If you place the camera slightly diagonally, it will start looking more and more realistic. It will start looking more and more realistic. समोर जर तुम्ही कॅमेरा ठेवला तर ते जास्त रिअलिस्टिक दिसणार नाही. जर तुम्ही स्लाइटली बाजूला कॅमेरा ठेवला तर it will start looking more and more realistic. Now this film became very very important, and I'll come to this film in a little while again. Okay, for a very simple reason. This film has been used by many people, okay, in their own films, and we will see one clip like that from a film called Hugo in one or two moments. Okay, which is a film by a very good filmmaker called Martin Scorsese from the United States. Okay, we will watch it. We will watch it and then we will try and understand what the essential features are. But pay attention to two things. One, is the camera moving or is the train moving? Train is moving. Camera is static. Right? The first films are the films where the camera is static and the objects in front of the camera are moving. Okay? Now, as you go ahead in the history of cinema, you will start realizing that it is not only the object in front of the camera that moves, but also the camera itself starts moving. And we will see one clip like that that reminds us of this particular idea. Okay? The point that I'm trying to make is this. If you want to understand cinema, if you want to take first steps towards understanding cinema, you need get that in place. If you want to understand cinema, both in terms of its appeal through image and appeal through story, there are two ways in which image and story can be related to each other. Two primary ways. And most filmmakers make films like that. One. The first way is what is called a symbiotic relationship between narrative and image. What is a symbiotic relationship? मैत्रीपूर्ण relationship. Okay. जेव्हा story image ला मदत करते, image story ला मदत करते. That is what is called symbiotic relationship. Most filmmakers work like that. They want to create images that will help advance the story, and they want to tell the story that will advance our understanding of image. Where image is not in conflict with the narrative. Where the narrative and the image go together. But then there is a diametrically opposite view as well, where many filmmakers create a conflict between image on one hand and narrative on the other. They will deliberately show you images in such a way that they will want you to forget what the story is and pay attention to the image most of the times. Okay? On one hand, a friendly relationship between image and the story, and on the other, an antagonistic relationship between the image and the story. If we want to understand cinema, these two frameworks need to be in front of us. Most popular films, most commercial films want to have a friendly relationship between image and the story. Most experimental films, most art films, okay, want to have antagonistic relationship between the image and the story. The choice is yours. What do you like watching? Do you like watching films where image and story come together, or do you like watching films where image and story conflict with each other? That is what is required to understand cinema. If you start making choices like that, you will realize what kinds of films you like watching more and more. Okay. But if you want to develop that understanding, there are 3-4 things that we need to keep in mind in terms of image. First, when we want to understand the image, we have to understand what is called a setting of a frame. If you want to understand an image, you have to understand what is called a setting of an image. What is a setting of an image? Let's watch a clip and then discuss that setting. Okay, this is a clip from a film called Saving Private Ryan, which is a war film. Okay, I don't know how many people have seen it, but let me give you a little bit of idea about what this film is. Saving Private Ryan is a war film. It's about war. Okay. It begins with an older person who is thinking about how Second World War happened. Okay, that is what this film is about. Now, when you think of war, Russia-Ukraine war is going on. What do you think about? Do you think about violence? Do you think about chaos? Right? All those things that we think about when we think about war. Right? But here is a film that tells us that there were certain soldiers in the Second World War who took difficult decisions and saved the world. The world that we live in is the world that is peaceful world. Now, telling this is one way, but how do you show it in an image? What do you do? How do you understand the setting? Right? How do you make sure that the audiences understand that the world is a peaceful world? What happens? Let's watch this image and try and figure out how through the image we get the meaning that the world is a peaceful world. Let's look at one such image like that. दोन मिनिटं बघूया आणि मग आपल्याला कळेल काय चाललंय. Now let's watch the image. What do you see here? You see an old man. Old man walking, but look at the trees around. They are in one line, एका रेषेत आहेत. मागचं पाणी बघ. शांत आहे. हिरवळ बघ. हिरवळ व्यवस्थित कापलेली आहे. The grass is very closely cut. Right? Okay. All the signs of quiet, calmness. There is no frame in which you are hurrying through the action. Action is slow. And the setting in general is a very peaceful setting. This is a setting. Look at
at the lines of trees. They are in one line itself. They are not organized in haphazard manner. Now we come to the cemetery. Look at the cemetery as well. Look at the crosses, okay, on the ground. They are in one line and they make a pattern that is a balanced pattern. It is not an imbalanced pattern. एका बाजूला काही जास्त आहे कमी आहे असं अजिबात नाही सगळीकडे अंतर सारखं आहे हिरवळ व्यवस्थित आहे look at the colors हिरवा पांढरा शांत कलर and that is what gives you a sense of calmness or as the film tries to argue civilization. Civilization, understanding of civilization is that it's a balanced society. It's a society that is non-violent. Look at the way in which processes are organized. Everything is symmetrical. Everything creates a sense of calmness and balance in our life. But if we go ahead a little bit, okay, let's be patient and see through the memory of the man, okay, an image that will come immediately after this. We are going now into his memory and seeing the war. And I want you to focus on what happens immediately after this. Let me pause this moment. Let's compare this kind of image with the earlier image that we saw. The earlier image, look at the colors that were there. Green, white, pastel colors, which did not hurt our eyes. The setting was serene. Look at the setting here. So immediately, the moment you see the sea, pani, okay, samudra, the water is going out of the frame of the camera. Why do you need that? I asked you to pay attention to water body in the first scene. The water was calm. The water was cool. The water did not go beyond the camera. Why is it important to show you image like that? Because it tells you that the water can be controlled in that setting. Here, water is beyond the control of the camera. What does they are not. If they were placed in one line, that would give you a sense of symmetry, calmness. But it is deliberately placed in haphazard manner because the director, the filmmaker, does not want to give you any idea of calmness and control. War is a brutal place. War is total setting. Therefore, the barricades are in a disorganized manner. Look at the color. Look at the color of the barricades as well. Now contrast this color with the whites of the cemetery. Right? The color of the barricades is black, immediately giving you a sense that there is something wrong that is happening. There is something violent that is happening. Right? Okay. And if you pay attention to cinema like this, our understanding of cinema gets enhanced. Our understanding of cinema gets more and more deep. Right? Therefore, one of the primary appeals of cinema is not just the story. The primary appeal of cinema is also to make you pay attention to the image. Right? Okay. Now I'll go to another clip. Another clip to show you how certain filmmakers interestingly and intelligently use Lumiere Brothers film. Yeah, the film that we watched, that train was arriving at a station. Yeah? If you want to ever make films, if you want to understand films, try and understand where the films have come from. Try and understand how the films are steeped in particular kind of history. Let us watch a clip again, okay, which is a clip from a film called Judo. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm showing you clips from films that you might not have seen, but the purpose here, okay, is to enable us to go beyond the films that we are familiar with. Okay. Because we want to understand cinema, okay, we have to be able to understand cinema from all over the world. Okay. Let's watch a particular clip from a film called Judo. It's a 1 minute long clip. Okay, let's watch it and see what the filmmaker is doing. Now, which is the city? Well done. Okay, important. I'll tell you why. Where is the city? George Méliès, along with Lumiere brothers, is considered to be one of the first filmmakers in the world. When Martin Scorsese, an American filmmaker, makes a film about someone called George Méliès, he has to begin the film in Paris railway station. Why railway station? Because the first film show that made cinema popular all over the world, okay, that contained a film called Train Arriving at a Station. The filmmaker is thinking, if I want to make a film about the first filmmaker in the world, where do I set it? I don't set it anywhere. I set it at a railway station. Why? Because the first film show had a film called Train Arriving at a Station, and the audiences started going haywire here and there. And that is what the reference here is. So if you want to understand films, you need to understand films by placing films in the context of its history. Or if you want to make films by drawing on the history of cinema itself. Now another interesting thing that happens here. This is a 3D film actually. Okay, and you know that the 3D is a new technology. 3D is not an old technology. By the time we are making films, okay, जेव्हा मार्टिन स्कॉर्सेसे फिल्म तयार करतोय 2010 ला, तेव्हा मार्टिन स्कॉर्सेसेचं म्हणणं काय? Can I keep the camera static at a station? No. Why not? Because now the history of cinema has moved forward and the technology of cinema has also moved forward. So if Lumiere brothers kept their camera static and the train was moving, I will reverse the situation. I will make the camera moving and the train static. What is Martin Scorsese saying through this? He's saying that the history of cinema tells us that the camera is not static. We have arrived at that situation where now the trains can be static and the camera can move. All these are decisions that go into the filmmaking by learning the history of cinema, by paying attention to the image and how the image was central to cinematic understanding. That is why the camera moves here. That's why I asked you, where are we? We are in Paris. You saw the Eiffel Tower. Why Paris? First film show happened in Paris. That's why Paris. Why train station? First film show had an important film called Train Arriving at a Station. That's why train station. Why is the camera moving in the train static? Because the first films had train moving, camera static. We have now moved on in history where camera can move. Therefore, camera moves, trains are static. When filmmakers make films, they make films not only to entertain, but they are also commenting on film as art, film as technology, film as business, and film as a relation between filmmaker and the audience. If you want to make films, think about that. Right? Our dear friend called Nagaraj Manjule, whose recent film, Jhund, has come out, he also tries and makes comment on cinema like that. Although I don't have the copyright to show you those clips, and therefore I'm not able to show you those clips, but we can talk about those clips later. In 5-10 minutes, I will sort of take up different aspects of cinema. Okay, 2-3 clips we will watch, and if there are questions after this, we will pick up the questions. Now, the next thing, after the setting, the next thing that we need to pay attention to is what is called property. What are property? What is property? Property are the things that are given to the characters in a frame. Right? If a character is given, let's say, an umbrella, you need to ask the question, what is the meaning of the umbrella? If a character is given different kind of, let's say, weapons, like a gun, like a sword, you need to ask, what is the meaning of the weapon, the sword, the gun, and so on and so on. I will show you one clip from a film called Bombay, and I'm going to show you a song, not the entire song, but a part of the song. Now, have you seen this Maniratnam film called Bombay? It's a story about Hindu-Muslim marriage. A Hindu boy falls in love with a Muslim woman. Okay? The Hindu boy is standing on a fort. He's asking the heroine to come and meet him at the fort. Passions are overflowing. There is the sea. The setting is volatile because the love is a volatile emotion. You cannot have it anywhere else. You need to have it at the sea. Let's watch this and see what happens to the heroine when the heroine is running towards the hero. How do we make sense of a frame like that? Let us watch that a little bit. I want to stop the frame here and try and understand. Now, you can do that to any frame in a film. I'm choosing just some of the important frames in a film. Now, look at what is happening here. This is a normal scene. A normal scene where the heroine is running towards the hero in a burqa, and her burqa gets stuck in an anchor that is kept on the foot. That is what the scene is. Is that the only meaning, though, of what you see here? What is the meaning? Some of you have probably understood the meaning beyond what it is showing. Look what she is wearing. She is wearing a burqa, a costume that is suggestive of some kind of religious tradition. Right? A religious tradition that does not allow a woman to meet the love of her life. It gets stuck in an anchor. The anchor looks very much like a trident, Trishul, right? The Hindu religious symbol. And then the burqa gets stuck in that trident. What does that mean? Doesn't that mean that Hindu and Islam as two religions are now not allowing the lovers to meet? That the anchor of the religion, not just the anchor of the ship, this is the anchor of a religion that is stopping the two lovers from meeting each other. Right? And the filmmaker wants to say that, look, religions allow people to fall in love with each other. And the gesture of the heroine then is to remove her burqa, right, and run towards her beloved, her hero. That is why this scene is very important. This is not just to entertain. This is not just to tell you a story. This is to tell you a story by commenting on how our society is organized. And filmmakers make films by paying attention to some of these things. If you want to understand cinema, or if you want to make cinema, you have to pay attention to many of these things. Deliberate. Yeah, some of these things get missed out when we pay attention to cinema, when we try to understand cinema. The next thing that I'm going to talk about is a sensitive topic. I don't know how appropriate it is in the context that we are speaking in, but I believe that all of us are a mature audience. I hope we are. And I want to talk about it. I'll probably apologize to the authorities that are sitting here. I don't want to put them in any trouble at all whatsoever. What I intend to do is to make ourselves aware of how cinema is not simply a comment on its history or the history of the society, okay, in this way, but cinema has the ability to raise questions that are philosophical in a visual manner. How does cinema do that? What am I talking about? If you pay attention to our society, you will realize that our societies are patriarchal societies, aren't they? What is a patriarchal society? A patriarchal society is that society in which a few men, not all, a few men are in a position to control not only women but also other men. That is what we call patriarchy. Right? Now, in the 1970s, and I'm making these comments because I know that all of us want to be mature audiences. And I'm making these comments by keeping in view that particular point of view. In the 1970s, there was serious discussion about what patriarchy is. How do we understand patriarchy? आणि फेमिनिझम ज्याला आपण म्हणतो, ओके, स्त्रीवाद, वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारचा स्त्रीवाद आहे आणि स्त्रीवाद्यांनी, त्याच्यात फक्त काही महिलाच नाहीये, पुरुषही स्त्रीवादी असतात, त्यांनी पुरुष सत्ताक समाज पेट्रियार्की ही कशा प्रकारे आपल्या दैनंदिन आयुष्यात काम करत असते त्याची काही उदाहरणं दिली. काय उदाहरणं होती? उदाहरणं अशी होती की पुरुष हे काही फक्त मारून मुक्तून असे काही सत्ता त्यांची नसते. They were the society to particular symbols. What are these symbols? For example, sometimes you may have a symbol of a big car, right? A big car, a man drives a big car, can be representative of his power. Sometimes a gun may be a symbol of the power of the man. Right? Sometimes a sword may be a symbol of the power of the man. And if you look at the history of cinema, you will realize that in cinematic media, all these symbols are used in order to suggest the power of the man. For example, if you look at violent films, crime films. In crime films, generally who has the gun? Does the woman have the gun or the man has the gun? Generally the man has the gun. See all those films in which what happens when the gun is given to the woman? The woman is considered to be threatening. Right? When a gun goes into the hands of a woman, men start feeling unhappy. And not only men, everyone else starts feeling unhappy. As audiences, we also feel, अरे बाप रे, अब क्या होगा? ये किसी को गोली मारेगी क्या? आदमी ने चलाया, पुरुष ने चलाया गोली तो चलता है क्योंकि उसको भेजा है. औरत है, उसको भेजा नहीं. वो किसी भी गोली चला सकती. Isn't that what films tell us? Isn't that how stories are told? No way. And this is where the sensitive part comes in. When in the 1970s, when feminists were trying to understand patriarchal societies, they said patriarchal societies function properly because at the time of the birth of a child, exceptional power is given to man through the genital organs of a man. बाळाचं जे लिंग असतं त्याला बघून पुढची दिशा ठरवली जाते. बरोबर आहे का? बाळ जेव्हा जन्मतं, पुरुष आहे का स्त्री आहे, मुलगा आहे का मुलगी आहे, मुलगा असेल तर काय होणार, मुलगी असेल तर काय होणार, In a sense, in a patriarchal society, the power is condensed in एक quote लेली असते पुरुषी लिंगा. पुरुषाचं जे लिंग असतं त्याच्या पुरुष प्रधान समाजाची जी ताकद आहे ती एकवटलेली असते. If you want to break the patriarchal society, what you need to do is to break this association between the genital organs of human beings and the power. You need to break the association between the genital organs of a human being and the power associated with human beings. The moment you break that link, our societies will become happier, will become more egalitarian. Now, to say this is one thing, to show it is another. Feminists started arguing, and I'm sorry to use these words, but feminists started arguing in the 1970s that if we want to challenge patriarchy, the first step that we need to take is somehow give the women power over symbols that resemble the genital organ of a man. Give power to the women by giving them access to things that resemble genital organs of a man. For example, a gun resembles the genital organ of a man. A sword resembles the genital organ of a man. Right? You feel threatened when the woman has a gun because it is suggestive of the fact that the woman has power and she has power that goes against patriarchy. She's using the patriarchal power and she is in a position to use that power against patriarchy. Now, there is a wonderful filmmaker called Quentin Tarantino. To say this is one thing, I'm saying it aloud. Right? But how do you show it? How do you show that the woman has become a man? If you want to challenge patriarchy, you want to make women, or you want to position the women in such a way that they are in a position of men. How do you do that? Let's watch a clip. Probably that's where I stop and we can pick up the questions later. Okay, there are multiple things that we can talk about, but probably this is the thing that I want to end it with. Okay, it's a very, very violent clip, right? So bear with me for 2 minutes, right? And then we will see, okay, what is happening. So this is a story of a woman who's challenging a patriarchal gangster group. Okay, this is a film called Kill Bill, very violent film. It's a revenge story. A woman takes revenge against men. Okay, that's what the story is, and one woman is helping the other men. Therefore, she has to be killed. That's the story. So the woman is killed now by another woman, our heroine, and the heroine now goes somewhere. And I want you to pay attention to the framing. And we will try and dissect what that frame means. Let me stop the frame here. Very sensitively done, very subtly done. Okay, but we all need to understand this. Let the discourse begin, let the discussions begin. Okay, very mature. If you look at the frame, what do you see in the frame? You see a woman, right? Wearing a yellow suit, wearing a yellow dress. She's standing. Camera, this is a camera that is placed below a glass floor. So the floor is that of glass, right? There is a sword lying on the glass floor, and the woman is standing, okay, on the floor. And the camera is placed below the glass. However, I want you to pay close attention to where the sword is kept. If you look at the sword, isn't it the longest object in the frame? It's the diagonal object. Isn't it longest? Also, if you watch the film, you will realize that this is a very strong sword. In the context of the film, the filmmaker tells you the story progresses forward by telling you that this is this is the strongest sword in the world ever made. And but there is one wonderful dialogue. The dialogue says, even if you encounter God in your path, even God can be cut with this sword. Is that powerful? Now, look at the length of the sword. That's the longest object in the frame, and that is also the strongest object. Point is not that. The point is now, where is the woman standing? Why is the woman standing there in the corner, and why is the sword kept like that? Why isn't she standing somewhere at the top of the frame, somewhere here, and why doesn't she bend down from there? Why does she have to stand there like that? Let's go back to our discussion a little bit. Feminist philosophy. When the feminists said that you need to give women access to things that resemble genital organs of men, they were saying, their words were this: patriarchy is afraid of those women who have symbolic genital organs that resemble men. Patriarchy is afraid of whom? Patriarchy is afraid of those women who are in possession of genital organs, of male genital organs in which power is concentrated. In other words, plainly speaking, feminists were saying, let women have dicks. We are all mature enough, right? Let's try and understand this very sincerely. Let women have dicks. Only then patriarchy will understand equality. Right? To say it is one thing, to show it is another. But a filmmaker that we love, called Quentin Tarantino, ends up showing how that can be done visually. Look at where the woman is standing. The woman is standing right above the sword. The sword resembles the male genital organ that is placed in the legs of a woman. Doesn't it seem like that? In other words, she has a dick and she can challenge patriarchy. If she doesn't have that, it's very difficult for a woman to challenge patriarchy. And this filmmaker is a man, but he's a feminist filmmaker. He's making a point, and so wonderfully made in one frame, without being preachy, without teaching you what to do, without being moralistic about it. The history of cinema is saturated with images like this, but the history of cinema is more saturated with images in which men have control over guns and women don't. The point that Tarantino is making is, enough is enough. Let's start making films in which that control shifts. And he shows that shift of control through one image like this. We can discuss plenty of other things as well, but I don't think it is appropriate time right now. We can probably stop here. My sincere urge is this, that when we watch films, I would really appreciate it if we start paying attention to images with such detail, with these kinds of understanding, by placing the images of cinema in a particular history, by looking at the relationship between image and narrative, image and storytelling, but don't stop at that. If you want to understand cinema in a particular way, go beyond cinema and start reading about the world. Start understanding the world that you come from. Look at the contradictions in your own world, whether these are class contradictions, whether these are gender contradictions, whether these are caste contradictions, regional contradictions, racial contradictions. Start paying attention to how our world is organized out of those contradictions. One of those contradictions can be seen in cinema in the form of image and narrative, and many other contradictions come into cinema through gender, through class, through race, and through region. Pay attention to such contradictions, and I'm sure we will start understanding cinema in a better way. I think I will stop here. Sorry for having bored you a little, because these images were slightly different. I wanted to pick up this topic. Okay, I seriously want to make the discourse happen at this age. You are fortunate that you have the internet. You are fortunate. more fortunate than us that you have information at the fingertips, easily available to you. Make use of all this information. You also develop a point of view. My purpose my class. Okay, but I'm glad that you gave me the opportunity to speak come here and speak in front of you. Such great numbers. Thanks for being present here.
Towards, like Karan Johar does, you're talking about love. And love, as it happens in upper class societies. If you feel characters, clothes that you and me are wearing, probably we are talking about middle class, lower middle class, working class characters who are, who fall in love differently, right? The perspective of the director comes out through setting, through property, sometimes through lighting. You light the frame in such a way, although I did not get enough time, okay, but pay attention to lighting as well. If the lighting is dark, then the director wants to say that, look, I am telling you that the story is not going to be a happy story. That's why a lot of sad films, horror films, crime films have dark lighting. Pay attention to the lighting as well. Okay, if the lighting is bright, then the director is saying, look, the story will probably end in a happy way. Right? Sometimes what is called character positioning also matters. Okay, where are the characters placed? So if you look at Hindi cinema, generally working class characters, घर में जो काम करने वाले होते हैं ना अपने, हाँ, वो हमेशा फ्रेम के बाजू में रहेंगे. देखो, वो कभी फ्रेम के सेंटर में नहीं रहेंगे, वो बाजू में रहेंगे. फ्रेम के सेंटर में कौन रहेगा? हीरो रहेगा, हीरोइन रहेगा, मिडिल क्लास रहेगा, अपर क्लास रहेगा, अपर कास्ट रहेगा. अभी क्या हुआ? अभी डायरेक्टर्स बोलते हैं, जैसे नागराज मंजूरी बोलते हैं, इनको क्यों लूं मैं सेंटर में? मैं लेता हूं जो लोग पहले फ्रेम के बाजू में थे, उनको मैं सेंटर में लूं. एंड दैट्स हाउ यू हैव द story of June. That's why you have the story of Sarah. That's how you have the story of Fendry, where people who were kept out of the frame earlier or at the margins of the frame earlier are now at the center of the frame. Who do you want to center your frame on? Do you want to center your frame on upper class? Do you want to center your frame on lower class? Women? Men? Who? So who are you centering? Who is in the foreground? Who is in the background? Also matters. So the director gives you your point of view or their point of view from a lot of different directions. Okay, setting plays a role, property plays a role, lighting plays a role, character positioning also plays a role. So if you want to direct, think about all these things. Anyone else? I mean,
As a filmmaker or a director, what are the responsibilities? Is it only entertainment or something else?
okay, what are the responsibilities of a filmmaker? Right? Are they there only to entertain, or are they there for something else as well? Now it depends on the director. It depends. It differs from a person to person. I am a person who believes that the responsibilities of a filmmaker go much beyond film, much beyond cinema. Right? Their responsibility is not only towards cinema, their responsibility is towards the society as well. And that's why I ended the lecture by saying, if you want to understand cinema, understand the contradictions in the society. Right? So different filmmakers have different kinds of perspectives. If you ask a Bollywood filmmaker, right, a Bollywood filmmaker will say, my responsibility is to just entertain the public. I don't want to go into the society. I don't want to show you the reality of the society, or forget the reality. I don't want to show you the contradictions in the society is what they will say. They will say, I want to just entertain, make people forget their life, come, watch films, go home and live their life again, etc. Right? I think I like to think differently. I personally think that the responsibility of filmmaker is primarily towards one, medium of cinema itself, and two, the society that they come from. In other words, your cinema has to be entertaining and your cinema has to be about the society that you come from as well. It cannot be simply either about the society without entertainment, nor can it be about only entertainment without society. Right? I've seen so many social problem films where entertainment value is zero, message is good. But then my response is, if you want to give a message, give us a speech. Why are you showing it us through cinema? The responsibility of filmmaker is 50% towards the medium called cinema and 50% towards the society. You cannot talk about the society without thinking about cinema itself. Okay? For example, just give me 1 second. I want to make this point very thoughtfully because we make this mistake a lot, okay, in our lives. Suppose okay, suppose I choose one image here. I want to make this point. Suppose I choose one image here, right? Whichever. What is this? Everyone agrees this is a house? Please enter the house. You say this is a house. Please enter the house. Can you? It's an image of a house. It's a sketch of a house. Primarily, okay, to begin with, we have to think about it as a sketch. Now, what are the properties of a sketch? It is made up of lines. It is made up of shapes. Probably it is made up of colors. It is made up of contrast, and so on and so forth. Whatever. As a filmmaker, your primary responsibility is also to think about setting, lighting, character positioning, property, cinematography, editing, sound. Learn that. Learn what their role is. Otherwise, you will fall into the trap of saying this is a house. This is not a house. This is a sketch of a house. You will say that when you realize what the property of these are. Similarly, a filmmaker cannot say that this is reality. That reality is shown to you through camera. So understand camera. That reality is shown to you through editing. Understand editing. That reality is shown to you through sound. Understand sound. Right? But at the same time, don't the lines come together to form a house? Yeah, or a sketch of a house, an image of a house. In a similar way, cinematography, editing, sound, everything comes together to give you a certain understanding of reality. And therefore I say that the primary responsibility of a filmmaker is not simply only towards cinema or only towards society. It's the mixture of both. To make a good film, you need to create your understanding of what society is. Write down a paragraph every day about what you mean by society. What is a good society for you? How will you achieve it? And then see how it can be transformed in the medium of cinema. And probably that is where good filmmakers are made.
I have no question, but I just thank for you because of तुमच्यामुळे आम्हाला काहीतरी नवीन शिकायला मिळालं.
थँक्यू.
जे लहानपणापासून एक ऐकलं होतं की राजा हरिश्चंद्र ही नवीन म्हणजे रोड स्टार्टिंगची फिल्म आलेली होती, पण आज समजले की आणि पण त्याच्यात काहीतरी होतं
भारतात. Is there agenda in Kashmir Files movie? I haven't seen the film, so it's not appropriate for me to comment on that. But my position is this: every film has an agenda. There is no film without an agenda. Every film has an agenda, right? Even if it is, they say it is harmless entertainment, it has an agenda. What is the agenda of harmless entertainment? The agenda of harmless entertainment, okay, is to make you keep your brains out and watch the film. What happens when you keep your brains out? Very simple, very simple. What happens is you become refreshed. When you become refreshed, you go to work tomorrow. You will work the entire day. When you work the entire day, what will happen? Yeah, you will get your salary. जो कुछ भी 100 रुपए, 1000 रुपए, 50,000 रुपए, 1 लाख रुपए तुमको सैलरी मिलेगा. लेकिन तुमको जो 1 लाख रुपए सैलरी मिलेगा, उतने में मालिक का सैलरी कितना आगे जाता है? जब अंबानी के साथ पास नौकरी करोगे तुम लोग, अंबानी देगा ना तुमको 1 लाख रुपए देगा, है? एक महीने में 1 लाख रुपए अंबानी दे सकता है. तुम्हारा सैलरी बढ़ गया, 1 लाख रुपए मिल गया तुमको, उतने में अंबानी का सैलरी कितना बढ़ा है? Look at the agenda of the harmless entertainment, which even the filmmakers don't understand. The agenda is you forget that your life is miserable. You come, you watch cinema, you feel happy. Why is it important for you to feel happy? Not because you can create good life, but because you can go back to work tomorrow, work for 1 lakh rupees and increase not only your wealth, Ambani's wealth also by some huge margin, right? then after that your wealth will not increase at such a rate. It will increase only little by little, but Ambani's wealth will increase more and more, right? So every film has an agenda. There is no film without an agenda. Every film has a point of view, and it is, we can understand the point of view only if we pay attention to the question that he asked. How does the filmmaker give their perspective? Look at the setting, look at the lighting, same points, and how do they contribute to the story? What is the story? And so on and so forth. Every film has an agenda. I don't know what the agenda behind Kashmir Files is, but I can guess. But because I have not seen the film, let's talk about it when I watch the film. That would be more appropriate. On what basis a title of a film is given? The title of the film is given on two bases, primarily. One is thematic. Okay, what is the theme of the film? Is the theme of the film, let's say, strength, valor, struggle? Yeah. Then you choose the title of the film on the basis of that theme. Like Jhund, for example, right, is a thematic title. Why thematic? Because Nagaraj Manjure is saying that so far, most of the people who live in slum areas, belong to various communities and lower caste, okay, have always been understood as mob. What is the characteristic feature of a mob? Mob doesn't think. Mob has no individuality, right? That is why we call it a mob, no? A mob doesn't think. The thinking is done by someone else, and mob simply follows. And this is how we understand the slum area. Nagaraj Manjure is saying that is not the case. What you call a mob, I call a team. Every person in that team can think. Right? That's his point. So one way of giving a title is thematic. The other way of giving a title is based on history of cinema. What you do. Okay? So the film that we saw called Hugo, or the clip of camera moving, Paris, train static, camera moving, etc., is given on the basis of, okay, who the character is and how the character is related to the history of cinema, etc. But most of the titles are given on the basis of the theme of a film. Okay? Anyone else?
Okay, if there are no any other question, I'll ask the last question. How do you look at the film Pushpa, wherein a criminal is shown as a hero?
Again, I've seen only the first half an hour of Pushpa because I couldn't watch it because of some commitments that I had. I have an answer at two levels, okay, to this question about a film like Pushpa. Okay, I like such films. I like such films because they are blatant. They are direct. They don't want to hide anything. They are not like, I feel something in my heart, but I won't say it. They are not like that. Jo dil mein hai wo kaho. And they do it straightforwardly. So what I like about such films is the honesty with which they say it. They do it. Right? जैसे पुष्पा में वो डायलॉग है ना, पुष्पा समझ के फ्लावर समझे क्या, फायर है मैं, right? Okay, it suggests some kind of honesty about characters that are marginalized. Okay, but at the same time, films like Pushpa also champion or foreground what is called aggressive masculinity. Okay, what is aggressive masculinity? Aggressive masculinity suggests that men are in a position to dominate the world, and men need to dominate the world. Okay, that's why that dialogue is there. Pushpa नाम सुन के flower समझ लिया क्या? Fire है मैं. What does that suggest? That suggests that I have fire inside me and I am a man. I am not nazuk like a flower, which is generally associated with women. Right? So Pushpa as a film is trying to project what is called aggressive masculinity. And I think if you want to build a better society, we need to be reflective about these things. We need to be reflective of the fact of whether we can build a better society on the basis of aggressive masculinity. Or do we need to understand, okay, if aggressive masculinity is itself the problem that puts pressure not only on women but also on men. Okay? Ask men in the classroom, how many of them, okay, feel the pressure of proving that they are men all the time? How many of you feel that pressure? You feel that pressure at home? You feel that pressure at work? You feel that pressure in the college? If you don't have a girlfriend, you will feel that pressure. If you don't drive a bike, you will feel that pressure. If you don't drive a car, you will feel that pressure. If you can't take a decision, you will feel that pressure. If you don't have a Hrithik Roshan, Salman Khan type body, you will feel that pressure. Yeah. What we as a society have done through patriarchy is that we have not put only women under pressure. We have put men also under a lot of pressure. How many men here can openly cry? Think about it. Don't we feel ashamed of crying? But what is so shameful about crying and emotion? You laugh and you cry. But society does not allow us to cry even if we feel like. Ask them. Ask them how many emotions they keep inside their heart and don't allow the emotions to come out. Why does that happen to you? It happens to you because what is called patriarchy wants to rule. Because if you don't behave like that, patriarchy will crumble. And patriarchy cannot allow that. Therefore, our colleges, our families, our schools generally try to teach us, you are a man, behave like a man. You are a woman, behave like a woman. What it essentially means is that don't challenge patriarchy. I think we need more dialogue about this. And not only we, you need more dialogue about this. Not only you need more dialogue with your family, you need more dialogue with your family. And all of us need to dialogue with each other about what it means. And that's what I think about Pushpa. And it's a contradictory film. On one hand, it's brutally honest. On the other, it's violently masculine. And I want to say that we need to rethink our strategy of being brutally honest by not being violently masculine. Masculinity may not be violent to be brutally honest. That's what I think.
Thank you, Nikhil. Now we are at the end of the lecture. So I would like to request Dr. Vijayananda Bansode, sir, to please express the vote of thanks. Sir.
I am here to express vote of thanks. Nikhil Narkar sir has delivered very wonderful lecture and oriented all of us regarding the cinema and how to watch movie. Nikhil sir is the friend of Sri Ram sir, and Sri Ram sir is our friend. So I feel he is one of the family members of our department. So thank you. I don't feel that there must be some kind of expression, but still I should express some formal thanks. And this topic is very interesting. Media or especially cinema is a powerful weapon to change the society. As he said, and he has taken the background right from the history of cinema. And when he mentioned various things, and therefore I must appreciate what he said and I must underline what he said. To reinforcement of this lecture, if I underline it, then the lecture, the organization of this lecture would be Sir, in your lecture, you said that dominance is an inherent part of human being. And man is very opportunistic. Man means human being. Wherever they get space, they start to dominate. Especially in this cinema, over the period of time, this entire directors team, they have been propagating their ideology, their dominance, and basically these directors or these filmmakers, basically they represent from ruling class, and therefore their ideas of ruling class become more visible. And even I used to say in my class, there is a typical dialogue, the ठाकुर and servant. Servant says, साहब मैंने आपका नमक खाया है, आप कितना भी मुझे पनिशमेंट करोगे, I will not give any kind of reply to you because you are my, owner in that context. This dialogue is not simple dialogue. It sustains the feudal character of the society. Okay, if anything happens, if any dominant person says something against us, we people, common people, economic people should not say anything. And therefore, to maintain the dominance, such dialogues have been used in the cinema to highlight, to dominate their ideology. Even man-centric cinema, typical man-centric cinema is explained. Hero comes, heroine comes, love story starts and movie goes ahead. So this is, and what is the portrayal of women? Women are just there for the item song or just to support the hero. And how long we will wear it? How long? Therefore, women directors should come ahead. They should talk their representations. And as I sir said, the marginalization of characters. Soon, Nagaraj Manjule has highlighted the characters from marginalized section. Yes, it is true. The voice of voiceless people, if the people are not saying, and then what is the representation? Notice the cinema. If cinema doesn't change the mindset, therefore these things are very important, sir. And really, we are happy to understand your performance, and even we are delighted, along with our students, to raise all the required and structural points regarding to the cinema. Okay, so this is natural tendency of this kind of cinema, and therefore to make the cinema more people-oriented, more women-centric, more social problem-centric, then it is required to have some kind of deliberation in that level, because everything is there. Even in the cinema making, there is a hegemony, dominance, maintained dominance. You find out n number of movies of any directors, they would have one message, and that message will not change these social issues. Unless we address social problems, there will be no change. Thank you so much, sir, for your wonderful lecture. And really, we are delighted. We have got various unheard things, especially in the movies field. Okay, thank you, sir. I would like to express sincere gratitude towards our Vice Principal, Anil Kumar Selke, sir, who chaired and he expressed some words of advice on this occasion. Thank you, Anil Kumar, sir. He might have some official work, therefore he left in between the program. I would like to express sincere thanks, Dr. Deepa Katre ma'am, who is always there and under whose guidance this entire program has been designed. Thank you so much, ma'am. I must thank you, Dr. Sriram Dongre, sir. Because of him, naturally, we got very good resource person, and we will have a long association with you. Even in future, we will organize one workshop. This is the lecture, so I feel if there is a workshop how to write a small stories or script writings, that would be very beneficial for our students, and especially, sir, our cultural department is one of the important departments in in University of Mumbai, or many students, they have been working in the cinema, especially in serials, cinema, and Bollywood actor. You know, all of us know that the history. So I'm not going to details. So in future we will organize the workshop to orient our students. I like to express sincere thanks to our teaching members, Nitin Kumar Bangar, Sakaram Dakore, Professor Sailesh Shauti sir, librarian Dr. Ajay Kamble sir, Krupal Shinde sir, Madhav Pawar sir, and many all technical teams were behind this program to make the program successful. And last but not least, you. Okay, our target was to orient you, and I'm very happy you are here in a large manner. And thank you so much. You are here, and you listen lectures in a very sound-mindedly. Even you raised genuine and reasonable questions. That is very important. If questions comes from your side, it means what the resource person said, it has reached that corner. So I feel this is very important. At the end,
My sincere gratitude to the principal who within 2 days, actually when we went, immediately said, "Khara khara kai problem hai." Then we were talking about the funding. He immediately informed, told the office people, prepare everything, all, and said, "Nantar babu, आपण काही करू पण तुम्ही program कराच." And that's how, this is what inspired all of us to get it. Sorry, and did everything so well. It was because he has conveyed his best wishes. Thank you, sir.
sorry, I missed the principal's name.
It's okay. I was trying.
Thank you, Umar, sir, formally I can say. Okay, so at the end, I would say, without stretching further, with the permission of chair, I declare this program is over. Thank you so much. Thank you.